There has been some insane offenses in college football over the past 20 years, and they have been the driving force behind some of the most iconic teams we have ever seen and some historic national championship runs. But with all these teams playing in different seasons, there can always be a debate on who was the best, but today we answer that question. So I put all 12 of them back into NCAA at the same time and put each of them in the same conference so they will all match up in head-to-head games. Now I use the College Football Revamped mod and made each of the star players on the team freshmen so we can see how they progress through the 3 seasons without losing any of the big name stars in the sim to graduation. Then as we sim through the season, I will track the progress of each team, and I developed a scoring system to give them points for each major achievement, like winning the conference, a national championship, or a Heisman. Then whatever team leads the conference in total yards, rush yards, and points per game will give them points. Then whoever has the player who is leading the conference in major stats like QB, pass yards, or total touchdowns will all contribute to the team GOAT ranking. Now let's get a quick rundown of the 12 teams in our sim. First, we have the 2020 Alabama Crimson Tide. They went 13-0 on their way to winning the national title, and they were led by an unbelievable group of talent with the likes of Heisman winner Devontae Smith, then Jalen Waddle and Mac Jones. Next, we have the 2019 LSU Tigers. They went 15-0 winning the national title, and they are maybe the most talented offense ever, led by Joe Burrow and the dynamic receiving duo of Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. Then we have the 2019 Ohio State Buckeyes. They went 13-1, just missing out on making the Natty, and they had so much firepower with the dynamic QB in Justin Fields and a great running back in J.K. Dobbins and their leading receiver in Chris Olave. Then we have the 2018 Clemson Tigers. They also went 15-0 winning the Natty, and they were led by phenom freshman QB Trevor Lawrence and explosive running back Travis Etienne, and then their dynamic receiver in T. Higgins. Next, we have the 2017 Oklahoma Sooners. They went 12-2, losing in the playoff, led by Heisman winner Baker Mayfield and 3 incredible receiving options with Hollywood Brown and CeeDee Lamb at receiver, then Mark Andrews at tight end. Then we have the 2013 Florida State Seminoles, who went 14-0 and won the national title, and they were led by Jameis Winston at QB, and then a dynamic running back in Devontae Freeman, and then their massive weapon on the outside, Kelvin Benjamin. Next, we have the 2012 Oregon Ducks. They went 12-1 winning the Fiesta Bowl, and they were led by Heisman Trophy winner Marcus Mariota and explosive running back Kenyon Barner, and then they had that dynamic weapon DeAnthony Thomas. Then we have the 2010 Auburn Tigers, who went 15-0 winning the Natty, and they were led by the ultimate one-man show in Cam Newton, who put the team on his back and led this ragtag group to the national championship. Next, we have the 08 Florida Gators, who won the Natties. They were led by Heisman Trophy winner Tim Tebow, who is one of the greatest college football players ever, and they had the dynamic playmaker in Percy Harvin, who was unstoppable. Then we have the 2005 Texas Longhorns, who won the national title, and they were led by the unbelievable Vince Young at quarterback. And they had a young Jamal Charles in the backfield and a big-time playmaker in Limas Sweet on the outside making plays. Then we have the 04 USC Trojans, who went 13-0 and won the national title and had the Heisman winner Matt Leinart at QB, then the legend Reggie Bush in the backfield as their main weapon, and then a young Dwayne Jarrett on the outside making plays. Then lastly, we have the 95 Nebraska Cornhuskers, who went 12-0 winning the national title, and they ran a triple option run-heavy offense led by their QB Tommy Frazier, and then a scary stable of running backs with Ahmad Green and Lawrence Phillips. So out of these 12 teams, who do you think is going to perform the best in the sim? All right, here we go. So each team is going to be in the SEC, all 12. This is what they look like. There's kind of their overalls on the top of the screen. Now we are going to start simulating through the season. I'm going to simulate to about week 5 here. Then we're going to do a check-in on the stats, see where everyone sits, and we're going to do that throughout the season. Then at the end of each season, I will tabulate all the points, and we'll see who won that season by adding up all their points. Now let's start simming. We'll sim to week 6, and I'm just using Wisconsin just as a placeholder team, so all 12 of our offenses are just kind of going on their own. I will not be affecting any of them. Now throughout the season too, if there's a big game or the SEC championship, anything like that where I want to jump in and watch a bit of the game, we will also be doing that. One other thing I also did, guys, I went in and changed all the playbooks to match that historical team's offense they actually used in real life. Plus I went in and altered how often they run and pass to make it as realistic as possible for how these teams actually played. Okay, I just simulated. We are in week 6 now, so a lot of teams, 4 to 5 games. Ohio State is the only undefeated team of the 12. Florida State and Oklahoma are really struggling. Obviously, these teams, they're all going to be playing each other a ton, so they're going to kind of eat each other up. They're They're gonna, it's gonna be hard. They're gonna be playing some of the best teams of all time, best offenses of all times each week. So that is really gonna be tough on them. Okay, we're gonna go look at the SEC. Let's look at total offensive yards. Who's in first? LSU in Texas, USC right there, OU, Ohio State. Let's look at points per game. Auburn actually jumps out to the early lead. Let's look at rush yards. So obviously 95 Nebraska. They are gonna be probably leading the franchise in rushing every time, but that's gonna hurt them in total yards because they won't be getting many pass yards. USC is right there. Texas, Oregon. Pass yards, LSU, Oklahoma, Texas. So Texas seems, not points per game, but yards, they seem to be really killing it. Okay, now we're gonna go look at individual players and see how each one is performing so far. So looking at the passing yards, we have Burrow, Mayfield, Vince Young, Matt Leinart, and then Mac Jones. Now, how this is each going to work as well is where these guys finish in each one of these statistical categories at the end of the season will add to how many points the offensive gets to their total score. So if they finish as the first, second, or third ranked passer in pass yards, pass TDs, or passer rating, they'll get points. Same as, rushing yards for running backs, receiving yards for receivers, anything along those lines. Then if we look at passing touchdowns, we have Joe Burrow, Matt Leinart, Cam Newton, Mac Jones, Marcus Mariota, and QB rating, Winston is really struggling. Wow, famous Jameis, Frazier, Lawrence is struggling as well. Damn. And then we have Joe Burrow, Tim Tebow, Leinart, Newton, Mariota for passer rating. Okay, let's look at rushing. So Lawrence Phillips, the main running back for Nebraska. He was the 4th overall pick, I believe, his draft year. So going to be always high up there. Reggie Bush right there, of course. Najee, Bucky Irving. I don't know. So Oregon's using multiple backs. Is Bucky Irving, guys, getting a ton of run. Ahmad Green. So for QBs, Cam has 330. Vince Young has 309. So Justin Fields has 300. Frazier has almost 300. Then if we look at rush TDs, yeah, this Phillips is going to absolutely kill it all year. Dobbins is right there. Okay, we're going to quickly look at receiving yards. Oh my goodness. Jamar Chase is jumping out. That is insane. 700 yards in like 4 games. That is absolutely wild. He is lapping the field right now. He's averaging 150 a game. Olave, Harvin, and Dwayne Jarrett kind of round out that top. And Jamar's got 7 touchdowns. So Jamar so far looks like an absolute beast as a receiver. All right, we're going to sim forward again. We'll go to week 11 here and take a look where we stand, after week 11. All right, we are now in week 11. Let's go look at where everyone sits in the SEC once again. 8-1 Texas, Bama 7-1. Wow, so those two are kind of jumping out, ranked 3rd and 5th in the nation. Auburn's 7-2 LSU. So Florida State is struggle city. They're 99 overall. They should be right in it, but they are really, really struggling to put anything together in Florida State. Okay, let's look at the team stats real quick. So total offensive yards, Auburn is absolutely killing it offensively right now. Passing yards, LSU kind of dominating. Rush, that was in the whole country. Auburn is leading. Oh my goodness. We just want to look at the SEC for right now. So yeah, Auburn's first in the country, 400 yards up on Texas right now. Wow. Auburn looks like a house offensively. LSU, leading the country, I think, in total pass yards. Auburn, Oklahoma. So Auburn is throwing the ball everywhere. Auburn is 2nd in pass yards, 4th in rush yards. So Cam Newton is on some wild shit so far. Let's see points per game. They are 1st as well. LSU, then Bama, USC, Ohio State. So right now, Auburn is off to a hell of a start. They might have played a few more games maybe than some other teams. That might be part of the reason, but let's look at the QBs. So passing yards, obviously Burrow's in first. Newton is right there. Baker, Vince Young, Mac Jones. Let's look at the bottom. So Frazier, they run the ball. I put it, Nebraska is going to run the ball. They ran the ball like 80% of their time in real life, so they are going to be running the rock. Jameis, Mariota, Fields, these guys are kind of committed to more running the ball overall. So passer rating, Winston seems to be a bit of a dud. He's a 97 overall. He should be playing better. If we look at best passer rating, Burrow, Leinart, Tebow, Cam Newton, Mac Jones. Burrow and Cam look to be pretty unstoppable right now. If we look at total rushing yards, Lawrence Phillips, 1,200 yards. They are going to be running the rock for a ton of yards. Reggie Bush, 1,000 yards almost already. Devontae Freeman's right there. So Ahmad Green is fourth, their backup running back. I also gave them Navy playbook, so they're going to be running triple options, all that type of stuff like they did in real life. That should be pretty similar to what they actually ran. Travis Etienne, Dobbins, Jamal Charles, Dyer, Phillips, Najee are all leading in touchdowns. Okay, let's quickly look at receiving yards. Okay, so Jamar came back, and this Darvin Adams, Newton's #1 receiver. Basically, him and Jamar are the two best receivers in the conference right now. Dwayne Jarrett, Hollywood Brown, Devontae Smith. I was interested, so here's where everyone sits. Oh, wow. So Jaleel Billingsley, the tight end for Texas, has a ton of yards. I was trying to see what running back has the most. So right now, Michael Dyer, a ton of receiving yards, then Reggie Bush. So I assumed Reggie would be pretty high. Let's see if there's any other running backs. So Najee, that's actually one other thing we should look at rushing real quick. I want to see what QBs are doing really well rushing. So we kind of looked at the running backs. Okay, so they're all kind of in a clump there. So Justin Fields, then Cam, then Vince Young. All three of them very similar, a little bit different in touchdowns, but right there. Lendale White, Tommy Frazier, so he's going to run the ball a ton. There's Tim Tebow. So that's kind of where we are for all of those player stats. I think that's pretty interesting to look at. Actually, okay, let's look at the top 25. So here's where we sit in the top 25. So Bama at 4, Texas, USC, LSU, 4 in a row right there in the top 25. And then Auburn, Ohio State. So we have a ton of ranked teams all kind of in the mix there. I want to look at the Heisman watch. So whoever wins the Heisman, if one of our guys does it in the sim, that is going to be a ton of points towards, I think it's 7 points towards their total for the team. So this will be worth a ton. Cam Newton and Joe Burrow definitely seem like the two best QBs right there, and they're in the top 5. So that is super interesting. So I want to look at our matchups this week and see if there's any big time matchups that we can maybe hop on the field and take a look. So we have Oklahoma, Nebraska. That could be interesting. Oregon versus Clemson. USC versus Cal. Vandy, Florida. Bama, LSU. Yeah, we're hopping in here, guys. We are going to play this game, and I'm just going to super sim it, and we are going to watch if it gets close in the fourth quarter. So that's where they sit in the country, the second and third most points in the country. Alabama has a ton of yards. This is going to be a game. Here it is. Alabama, LSU, one of the best rivalries in all of college football, ranked number 3 and number 6 in the nation. Start super simming here. Yeah, if it gets close at the end, we'll hop on the field. So there we go. 7-0 LSU in the first, 14-0 LSU. Okay. So LSU up big in the first quarter. They are okay. There's a nice answer back for Bama. 14-7, 21-7, 28-7, 28-10. 28-17. Okay. Halftime 28-17. That is doable. I don't care who wins. I just want it to be close. But LSU looks like they are they are too much. That is going to do it. 45-17 win. Oh no, sorry, this is still the fourth quarter, but I mean, that is going to do it. I would have liked to hop on the field a little bit there, but wow. LSU absolutely dominated there. Unreal. 55-17, absolutely just took it to Bama. So, oh my God, Burrow had 450 yards passing and 4 TDs. Mac did not have a good game at all. Yeah, so LSU completely dominated that game. Hey, that's gonna happen every once in a while when you play 2019 LSU in Baton Rouge. That's a tall order for any team. So that was interesting. We'll definitely do that a little bit throughout the sim. I would like to, get some good matchups. Okay, we're gonna sim to the conference championship game right here. So this will be just the SEC championship game. Top 2 teams in the conference. Whoever wins should have a good shot of making the natty, we hope. And we'll look at the stats once again. Actually, we're gonna stop at week 15 here. So this is the week before the championship game. I want to see, there might be a big matchup to, get to that final game. So we're going to look at conference standings right here. SEC 11-1 Texas, 10-2 LSU. So those, USC still in the top 5 for the national rankings, but those two look like, I don't know if they're in the same side of the bracket, but the 2 top teams in the conference right now, Florida State, Clemson, Florida, Oregon, Nebraska, kind of struggling there. Okay, let's look look at the team stats real quick. Here, I'm just going to look real quick. So yeah, Auburn, that's first in the country right now. So Auburn, Cam Newton, they're probably the worst team, I would say, on paper. So for them to be putting up these kind of numbers is actually insane. 3 losses, but absolutely just destroying offensively. So that's cool to see. We're going to look a lot closer at the end of the year here. So I just wanted to take a quick snapshot real quick. Winston is struggle city. Cam, Liner, Mac Jones, Joe Burrow, Cam, Mac, Tim Tebow, BY, TDs, Burrow, 49 touchdowns. Wow. Rushing 1,700 yards for Phillips, leading the country. Ahmad's still up there. Reggie's right there. Total rushing TDs, Phillips, Dyer, Najee. Then for receiving yards, Jamar and Devontae. Then Adams teaming up with Cam, killing it. Here's touchdowns. So obviously at the end of the year, guys, we're going to look at much closer at all those stats. So the one other thing I want to look at is the Heisman watch. So Cam is in first, then Joe, then Vince Young. So that is crazy. Cam looks like he might be on a whole nother level in this sim. So very, very interesting there. Okay, then quickly, I want to go check if there's any big matchups this week that we could try to go check out. I do want to get on the field and actually watch some of these. Oh no, we have none. So this is week 15. The only games are Oklahoma, Oklahoma State. So we missed it. I just noticed something. I missed the Iron Bowl by a week. That's what I was I thought it was week 15. It is week 14. Look at the score of this game. 70-51. Wow. Okay, I need to look at the stats here. I'm sorry. Max, 465 yards and 7 touchdowns. Najee, not a ton there. Must be insane. Devontae Smith, 251 yards receiving. Waddle, only 61 yards, 3 touchdowns. Oh my goodness. Can we look at Auburn stats? Cam, 380 yards, 6 touchdowns through the air, only 63 yards rushing. Receiving, Adams had 111. He seems to be doing. Michael Dyer is catching a ton. So not a ton, but that is crazy. 70-51. Absolutely wild. Wow. Okay. So we are going to sim to the conference championship. Let's see who this matchup is, and we will definitely hop on the field a bit for this game. Okay, let's look at our conference championship game. It is gonna be LSU, Texas. I love it. That is a sick matchup. I think whoever wins should make the Natty. They're number 2 and 3 ranked team in the country. Joe Burrow versus Vince Young. A ton of weapons everywhere. We are definitely watching this game. We'll watch, I hope it's close at the end. 99 overall. 2 of the best teams of all time. 05 Texas with Vince Young. 2019 LSU. Absolutely crazy. So we are definitely going to check some of this out. The SEC championship. Wow. Okay, so here's where they stack up. So defensively, Texas is really good. LSU is awful defensively. Offensively, LSU definitely looks better, but I mean, hey, Jamal Charles, Vince Young, Burrow, Chase, Jefferson, this is why I wanted to make this sim for a matchup like this. This is sick. SEC championship game. There we go. LSU running on the field, playing the Longhorns. Woo! Texas is finally back. I mean, we had to get their best team ever, but they are back and ready to rock. Okay, let's get this going. Number 2 and number 3 in the nation. The winner should be going to the Natty. I don't see why they wouldn't be. Okay, we're just going to super sim this. We'll go to the next quarter. Here we go. Who had the ball there? Oh my God, 7-7 already. Wow, 10-7. Texas, 10-10 at the end of 1. So, hey, looks like we got a ball game here, guys. Okay, we're going to go to the next quarter again. 13-10. Back and forth. 17-13. Okay, so 17-13 at the half. Let's go. Let's go. I really want to see a good end of this game. Okay, we're going to go sim to the 4th. Let's go 20-17, 27-17, 30-17. Okay, 30-17. Burrow has the ball. Let's watch some of this. So Burrow has the ball. Obviously needs to score here. I mean, they got to put some points on the board. They cut this lead to 1 score. Allaire up the middle, dives forward, first down. Hey, we will take that. There we go. Okay, here it is. 1st and 10 inside the red zone at 2019 LSU, 05 Texas. Burrow, Vince Young, 2 of the best teams ever, trying to run the ball. Edwards-Allaire gets the edge again. Another nice pickup. Okay. Inside the 10-yard line, looks to be about the 8-yard line. 2nd and 4. Trips right for Burrow. Burrow, a ton of weapons there everywhere. Drops back a ton of time. Oh, and the pressure gets to him. He gets sacked for an 8-yard loss. That is massive. Brian Robinson, their best defensive end. Okay, here it is, 3rd and 12. A field goal helps, but you're still stuck 10. Texas ball. They need a tutty here. Come on, Burrow drops back, goes underneath. Yeah, that is not going to do it. They are going to be kicking their field goal there. Only 190 yards so far for Burrow. So has not, dominated this game by any stretch. So we will skip ahead. Next change up. Oh, they went for that and they got it. Oh, nope. They were short. Okay. Never mind. They went for it. Chase got 8 yards. They must have needed like 9 because it was not much more than that. Okay, Vince Young drops back. Boom, sitting in the okay, that was almost a safety VY. Okay, we are gonna just we're gonna simulate here a little bit. Drop by Sneed, 12 yards to Sneed. Okay, Jamal incomplete. Okay, so I think that's 1st and 10. Clyde, Burrow, or sorry, Jefferson, Clyde. Okay, Terrace. Okay, let's watch again. 1st and 10 inside the 30. Let's see if Joe Cool can get it done. You need to get it done here, Joe Burrow. I just want to see a good ending. Obviously, I don't care who wins once again. Clyde up the middle. Oh, a ton of room. Clyde Edwards-Helaire dives forward inside definitely inside the 10, might be inside the 5. That is a great run there. Wow. Okay, yeah. So at about the 9-yard line, last time they were here, Burrow got sacked. So definitely need a better showing right here. Double tight. Jefferson and Chase at the bottom of the screen. Burrow drops back, finds Jefferson inside the 3-yard line. Jefferson falls forward. Big pickup, under 3 minutes left. They need to score in the next few plays. Try to get the ball back. They still have 3 timeouts. Let's see a good finish here. So trips right. Chase is singled up at the bottom of the screen. Read option. Burrow keeps it and he's in. Wow. Okay, so we might have a photo finish here. Okay, we're gonna next change of possession. Okay, we're just gonna sim play by play here. So up 6, VY to Kane. 4 yards, 7 yards by Charles, 7 yards by Charles. Okay, so 1 timeout. 2nd and 3. They need a stop here. A 1st down for Texas wins it. Vince Young and Jamal Charles in the backboard, gives it to Charles, falls forward. That should wrap it up. No timeouts. I think that should do it. We can watch this play here. 2nd and 6. This should be blouses. Vince Young in the backfield with Jamal once again. 05 Texas is the Giant Killers. Vince Young falls forward. That is gonna do it. SEC champs, 05 Texas. They should be going to the Natty. 12-1 on the year. That is crazy. We are gonna sim to the end of the game here. That will do it. Vince Young leads Texas back to the national championship. The 05 Texas, they were the best team in the conference. Doesn't mean they'll get the most points on our sliding scale that we will be doing, that I will tabulate at the end of season 1. And obviously this is going to be a 3-year sim, but Texas, that's going to be 5 points to their score. If they win the Natty, that's another 7 points. If Vince Young might have won the Heisman, I don't even know. So that is absolutely massive. Let's quickly look at the player stats. So Burrow did not have a Burrow type game, only 230 yards and a touchdown. Clyde had a good day on the ground, 100 yards. Chase played well. Jefferson was just okay. Then if we jump over to Texas, Kane and Sneed were the high receivers here. Jamal and Vince, they dominated on the ground. Each over 100 yards, 51 carries between the two of them, and VY was really good through the air as well. 250 yards, 3 touchdowns, got it done. Wow, there it is. Texas should book their ticket to the national championship. We will simulate, we will see, and then we are going to sim through the Natty. We'll sim through the bowl games. Then we are going to check out, the final stats on the season, who had the most yards, points, what players had the most yards, and then I will tabulate and I'll show you guys who was leading after season 1. So Max Duggan beats out Cam Newton and Joe Burrow and Vince Young to win the Heisman. Wow, that would have been massive for Auburn, LSU, or Texas if one of their boys could have took it home, but let's go look at what bowl games all our teams are in. If we go to the SEC, and let's see who Texas is playing in the Natty. Friggin' Max Duggan and TCU take it home. Okay, LSU versus North Carolina, Bama versus Illinois, Auburn versus Pitt, USC versus Tennessee, Notre Dame, Oregon, Georgia Bulldogs playing Texas. Wow. I was maybe going to put this Georgia team in this video. I'm going to put them in a future one. So that is actually the 2021 Georgia team. They have Jordan Davis, you know, all those boys from that team. So that's an even better Georgia team than 2022, just as far as overalls. So there we go. Okay, so we're just going to simulate the bowls. We will see if Texas is able to wrap that up. It's not both. If we ever have two teams in the Natty, we definitely will check that out. But with only one of our teams from, you know, our main look, then we're not gonna, you know, jump into that game. But let's see. So that is gonna wrap it up. So we can look at, I want to see who won the Natty. Let's see if, oh, there it is. National championships. The young led Longhorns are your champions. So they did it. Crazy. 05 Texas takes the belt in the first year. Let's see. So that was week 1. We want bowl season, and we want Texas 17-10. No, we don't. I wanted to look at the stats here. More info. Can I look at this? I just want to see VY 218 yards, 2 tutties. I mean, you'll take that. 87 yards for Jamal. So, I mean, this was a low scoring game. Both defenses came to play, but Texas is your national champion. So that is going to get them a ton of points to their final ranking for sure. Okay, now we are going to look at the overall stats for the teams. This is going to be worth a ton of points. So we're just going to look in the SEC here. So the total offensive yards. Whoever gets first gets 5 points. Whoever gets second gets 4, 3, 2, and 1. So Auburn's going to get 5 points. LSU is going to get 4. Texas is going to get 3. USC is going to get 2. Bama is going to get 1 point. So Florida, Nebraska, Ohio State all just missed out. Then we're also going to do it for pass yards. So that was total yards. Sorry, we're not going to do it for pass yards, because I figured whoever had a ton of pass yards is going to usually lead in total yards. And we're going to kind of cover pass yards with QB stats. So we are going to do total team rushing yards though, because total yards is always going to skew towards passing offenses. Obviously, rush yards is going to skew towards rushing, and then points per game will kind of even it out a little bit between the two. So now between rush yards, Nebraska, far and away, 4,000 rush yards. Then Texas, Ohio State, USC, Auburn. So Texas will get 5 points. Auburn will get 1. Okay, then points per game. This is huge. So 5 points for Auburn for this. LSU, USC, Alabama, Florida. So those are your top 5. So 5 points for Auburn and 1 point for Florida. Obviously, guys, I'm going to add all this up and I'll put it up on the screen for you guys to see who is leading after season 1. So that's where they will get points for that. Plus, Texas also is going to get points for winning the SEC and winning the Natty. But you are also going to get points for individual performances. I think we want to see who is the best player, you know, over these years. So we're only going to give points for the top 3. So we're going to give points for top 3 in passer rating. So that's going to be Joe Burrow, Tebow, Cam Newton. So 3 points for LSU, 2 for Florida, 1 for Auburn. Then if we look at total passing yards, this is also going to be worth 3, 2, and 1. So Joe Burrow, 5,000 yards. Crazy. 4,000. Cam, 4,000 yards passing. Mac Jones narrowly misses out. Vince Young. Let's kind of look at the bottom of this. So obviously Frazier was just, 1,500 yards. They are going to run the ball. Winston, 104 passer rating. I don't know what was up with Florida State. Could not get much going. We have Joe Burrow, the most passing touchdowns. Then Leinart, Newton, Mac Jones. But here we are going to be adding up rushing and passing touchdowns. So I will have to do a little bit of math on this and see, combined who actually led in both, because it won't be just passing touchdowns. It's going to be total touchdowns for this. So Burrow looks, but Cam, if he had over 13 rushing touchdowns and Burrow only had like 1 or 2 or whatever, then Cam can actually jump ahead right there. Okay, now rushing yards, Lawrence Phillips, he's going to get 3 points right there. Then Reggie, then Kenyon Barner round out the top 3 for that. Then it is going to be total touchdowns again. So I'm going to look at receiving touchdowns and we'll add those up. So right now it's Dyer, Phillips, and Najee with Green, Oh, Cam, 11 rushing touchdowns. So we're going to have to add all that. So Cam finished with 11. What was Cam's rushing or passing? I think he was at 42. So no matter what, Cam will not be catching Burrow. He will jump Leinart unless Leinart had a ton of rushing touchdowns. But these three should be pretty safe in your top three for those points, with Burrow, then Cam, then Leinart, if I had to guess. So we also will be doing total TDs. So if Reggie Bush or someone had a ton of receiving touchdowns, he will jump ahead there. Okay, receiving yards. So top three: Chase, Devontae, Darvin Adams. Wow, out of nowhere, only a 90 overall, beating a ton of these guys. This is where they all sit. So, you know, right there though, clearly Devontae, Jamar, kind of the top of the heat. Then receiving touchdowns, Adams, Hollywood, Jamar, and Dwayne Jarrett. So these two ties, so they will split third place there. And I was going to do receptions as well, because I thought that would be interesting, you know, so just add a little bit more for receivers. So Devontae, Jamar, and Darwin, those three were really just cut and dry the best receivers on the season. One other thing, now I'm also going to give points for running back. So running back yards. So right here, tight ends, I'm going to fit in with receivers. So if one year Mark Andrews had, you know, 1,500 yards, he would get those points. So it's either tight ends or receivers. Okay, so running backs, Michael Dyer, 600 yards. So he's going to lead all running backs in receiving yards. Then we have Najee Harris, Jamal Charles, Trey Sermon. So that is how that fits out. Let's go take another quick look. So who is first? It was Dyer is going to get 3 points. Then it is going to be Najee Harris will get 2 and Clyde will get 1 point for that. And then I'm going to add up receiving touchdowns as well with rushing touchdowns. And then it's going to be total TDs for running backs. So that is where everyone sits, guys. I'm going to go add up all these points and I'm going to give you guys the scores after season 1. All right. So here is where we sit after year 1. LSU is in first with 24 points. Then Auburn is right behind them in second with 23. Texas in third with 19. USC a bit below in fourth with 11. Nebraska just behind them in fifth with 10 points. Then Bama in sixth with 9. And then we have a bunch of teams with 0 or 3 or 1 points. So we're going to be updating this after every season and combining the points to see who has the most through the 3 years. All right. So that was an absolutely crazy year 1. LSU in first. I'm honestly shocked. Auburn has to be my biggest surprise. I thought they would be right near the bottom. For them to be second after year 1 is actually crazy. So one thing, I did make all these players freshmen, remember, like keep that in mind. So they're going to improve. By the end of this, teams are going to have an insane amount of 99s, but I do want to kind of quickly look at the teams, see who improves. So Najee, by the end, these teams are going to get pretty crazy. I did decide to do it this way just so we could see, you know, progression, see, you know, with Mac Jones, Joe Burrow, how they progress through the years and just see kind of how these teams would last. But if you guys want me to do this again in the future and you think I should keep it, if someone's a senior, they're a senior, a junior, and then simulate the 3 years from that. But I do think this will just, we'll see the same group of players and see how everyone goes from there. So obviously a ton of 99s, a ton of really good players. We see a ton of growth there from Bama. Auburn, like this is why I was shocked Auburn did so well. They basically have 3 stars and some good, not great players. So their depth, star power just isn't anywhere near it. But hey, they held in really good. I think Clemson, we could see a huge jump. They were one of the worst teams in the SEC last year. A bunch of 99s this year. They had a lot of like actually younger players in real life. Like Lawrence was a freshman. Isaiah Simmons was young. Oh my goodness. So they have like a ton of super talented players. We'll see how they do this year. Florida was another one who didn't do great last year, but you see the talent on this team. Absolutely crazy. Like by the end of these teams are going to be pretty insane, but they're all going to be pretty even relatively. They're all going to have a ton of 99s by the end. Here we go. Bunch of just huge overalls here. Didn't quite progress, but they have some really good young, like Jalen Ramsey was a freshman on this team, so he'll be growing. So they're going to have a bunch of good players as they progress as well. For Florida State, LSU first overall in the sim so far, and obviously they're going to be right near the top throughout throughout this whole sim. They have so much talent, huge, great players on the team. Ohio State near the bottom, but that might be the most star power rate near the top. So I could see Ohio State having a huge year too. Oklahoma, they're a little bit more offensive heavy, but when you have Orlando Brown, Mark Andrews, Hollywood Brown, Humphreys, Mayfield, CeeDee Lamb, Ford, Trey Sermon, like they have so much talent, they should be right in the middle of the race. Same with Oregon, a ton of offensive talent, but they have some great young D linemen, Deion Jordan, Eric Armstead, and they also have Buckner, so a ton of talent along the D line that really could carry them. Texas, Vince Young, Huff, they were the national champions last year. Jamal was only like a 95 this year, so you have a ton of growth on this team. They are maybe the most balanced team in the conference right now. I'd say them and Alabama, so they could have a huge year. Obviously, keep rolling. USC should be right there. Lofa Tatupu, Sean Cody, obviously, like they're gonna have 299 overall running backs in Lendale White and Reggie Bush, so a ton of talent for them. And that is basically everyone. I might have missed someone when I was scrolling through, but that's kind of see how every team improved. I definitely want to look at Heisman watch, see who everyone's looking at. So Cam Newton, I think that is totally fair. Cam and Joe Burrow are the two on the Heisman watch to start the year. Definitely want to see the preseason polls. We should just be littering in the SEC, the preseason polls. So Texas 1, SC 2, LSU 4, Bama 6. So Ohio State 9, Auburn 10, Oklahoma 11. So we, a ton of Nebraska right there. Oh, that's who I didn't look at. Nebraska, Oregon, Florida. So we have a ton of the top 25. This really could be anybody's game at this point. LSU, Texas, Auburn had great year ones, but that is just the beginning. Obviously, there's so much time to go still. Okay, we're going to simulate week 5 through week 4, and we'll see where we stand. All right, so this is where we sit in the SEC, and everyone has at least one loss. That is going to be the thing with everyone being in the same conference, is you are just going to kind of pick each other apart. Oklahoma and Florida State right near the bottom, a ton of just one-loss teams. So obviously they're just going to be kind of picking each other apart as we go, which can be a downside of putting them all in the same conference. But I think it's the most fair way that, everybody's playing the same competition. You don't have someone just dominating in the Big Ten or whatever, putting up a bunch of stats. So pass yards, VY Joe Burrow near the top. Then we have Tebow, Liner, Winston, Cam, and we see the quarterback ratings seem to have gone up a ton this year. A lot of growth from year 1 to year 2. Cam, Liner, Mariota, Tebow, Burrow, everybody except basically Mac Jones. Frazier, you're never gonna, he's never gonna be an amazing passer. He's more of a pure runner. But Mac and Fields, Lawrence, kind of near the bottom. Let's look at pass touchdown. Vince Young is looking like he's off to a roaring start, especially when we look at rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. He should be right up there. This is the thing with Nebraska, though. They are always going to be dominating running the ball. So now it's Ahmad Green. Actually looks like he's ahead of Lawrence Phillip, maybe on the depth chart. But 2 of the top 4 rushers are at Nebraska. Crazy. Then we have J.K. Dobbins, Reggie Bush, Jamal Charles, Devontae Freeman. So Najee Harris. But look at Frazier as well. Look at those running stats from Nebraska. 600 yards, 355, and almost 300 in 4 games. So we definitely got to go look at the team stats and see where they are. Wow, looking at the average, J.K. Dobbins averaging 7.7 yards per carry. I want to see where some of the other QBs are at. So Vince Young, so he has the most passing yards, most passing touchdowns. He has 3 rushing touchdowns and the most passing yards. So Vince Young looks like an absolute beast so far. Tebow's right up there in passing yards as well. So Tebow's having a great year. Very interesting. I don't see Newton anywhere, but yeah, I'm sure Newton's doing well still. So Reggie's been, I'm a huge Reggie Bush fan, so it's cool to see him this high, really kind of living up to his name. Let's see the receiving stats. So Limas Snead playing with VY went up to a 96 overall now in the sim. So he's going to be, a really 6'5", 220, huge option. Percy Harvin, that's cool to see. Look at VY. Has the number 1 tight end. Jamar Chase kind of falling back to the pack a little bit there for Jamar. Last time when we looked at the start of the year, he's 300 yards ahead of everyone. Limas, so a bunch of guys at 7 TDs. Very interesting. Okay, I want to go look at team stats here. I'm really excited to see where Nebraska is at. I want to just go by rush yards in the country. They're ahead of everyone. huge rushing yards, 1,300 yards through 4 games. Absolutely insane. That's tops in the whole country, let alone the conference. Total offensive yards, Texas, Florida, LSU, Nebraska's in 4th, and they barely pass the ball. That is insane. Let's look at the bottom. Bama maybe has been the most. Bama's only played 3 games. So that's the other thing we got to keep in mind. Some teams have played 4, some teams have played 3. Oregon, 52 points per game through 3. So that's going to be the difference here in the sim as well. So far, uneven games till we get more near the end of the year, it'll even out. But there it is. Crazy stats so far. Oregon, 50 points per game. That Nebraska stuff is just crazy. I get so many comments on videos, people asking to see, what 95 Nebraska. So I tried to make it so they play triple option football and they'll run the ball as much as possible. And so far, so good. Definitely interesting to see. Okay, I want to see if we have any big matchups this week in the SEC. Maybe we could go on the field and look. Ohio State, no. Oregon, LSU, that could be kind of cool. Florida State, USC. Okay, we got to get on the field for this. Auburn, Texas, Cam Newton versus Vince Young. Yeah, we got to do that. We have got to. We're going to play this game and get down on the field. All right, here we go. Auburn, Texas, Cam Newton, VY. Legends of the game. 2 of the most dominant college quarterbacks ever. 2-14 in Texas. Let's go. We're just going to super sim. Obviously, if it's close near the end of the game, then we'll hop down on the field. So let's just go next quarter here. What do we got? Boom. 7-0 Texas. 7-0 Texas still, but it looks like they've had a ton of run with the ball. 14-0. 14-7. 21-7. 28-7. Okay. So this looks like a bit of a bloodbath. We'll go to next quarter. Maybe Cam will put now 35. Okay. So Texas looks like okay. Wow. 35-28 going into the second half. Crazy. Okay, let's go next. Change of possession. Auburn football. 4-yard rush, -3. Okay, we're inside the red zone here. What were they down? 35-7 or 28-7? Absolutely insane comeback. Down to Dyer. Breaks a tackle and he's in. Oh my goodness. 35 all. Texas Auburn. Crazy. Michael Dyer with the absolute truck stick. Okay, we got ourselves a ball game here. Okay, we're gonna go by play by play. If we get near the red zone again, we'll hop in and watch Texas here. Okay, we're gonna hop in here. What do we got? Incomplete. Oh god, inside the 5-yard line. Wow. Texas Auburn. This would be a huge upset for Auburn to go into Texas and win. Oh, from the 1-yard line, they are stuffed. Okay, here it is again. 2nd and goal from the 1-yard line. VY in shotgun. Jamal Charles beside him. What is he gonna do? Drops back, fires it. No, short, tackled short. 3rd and goal. That'll be inside 2 minutes in the game. No matter what, Auburn is gonna get the ball. Cam is gonna be able to try to go down and make a play, but is he gonna be down 3, down 7? What do you got? Okay, Vince Young, Jamal Charles, insanely good backfield right there. Read option Jamal, wide open, touchdown, pounds it in. There we go. Okay, this is going to be an insane finish. We are going to have Cam Newton with a chance to go drive down and tie this game up. Okay, 21 yards. Throw away Cam. 15 yards. 10-yard penalty, but now he gets 14 back, 22 back. Okay, we're watching it. 46 seconds left in the game. Cam trying to go tie this bad boy up. Pistol, Dyer behind him, scrambling. Ooh, the D tackle comes in and cleans him out. 2nd and 12, clock running. They have 1 timeout, 40 seconds left. They are hurrying to the line. Are they going to spike this? Do not spike it. Oh God. 3rd and 12. I would probably use your timeout there, Auburn, but there you go. 3rd and 12, 33 seconds left. Stuck 7 on the road to the defending national champion. What does Cam Newton have for us here? Drop back, no play action, fires it underneath. Oh my goodness, you got to get out of bounds there. Okay, you better use your timeout. 4th and 5, use your timeout. They are weird with timeouts in this game. 4th and 5, you have a timeout. Instead, you want to hurry to the line, pistol. Could be the last game. Final play. Cam, and he falls. Oh, he might have had the opening there, but he tripped trying to get past his O-lineman. Texas holds on, survives against Cam Newton, had a chance to win it. Cam Newton, 453 total yards. I'm pretty sure Vince had very similar What a matchup. Could you imagine that matchup in real life? Vince Young, Cam Newton, both putting over 400 yards on the board. I've got to look at these stats really quick because that's just this quarterback duo. This is why I wanted to make this sim. 430 yards, 3 touchdowns for Cam, plus he had 18 on the ground. Receiving wise, Javarius Johnson, 200 yards receiving. So Pittman, Kane, both over 100 yards. Rushing, VY had 56. Jamal had 110. So Vince Young had almost 500 total yards and only 3 touchdowns. Only 3. 500 yards, 450 for Cam. What a matchup. And that is what, this sim is all about, guys. We want to see matchups like that. Absolutely insane. Okay, we are going to sim now. We are going to sim up to we'll go week 10. Here we go. All right, so here we are in week 10. Let's look at the conference standings. Let's see where everyone is sitting. 8-1 Texas. They look like an absolute house. Okay, finally Bama is starting to show up. LSU, USC only 4-3. I really was hoping for more out of SC so far. Nebraska 5-2. A lot of 2-loss teams still in it. Then we kind of have more of the bottom of the barrel teams. Oregon, Oklahoma, Auburn, Florida, Florida State. Florida, I'm a little bit shocked with also that they're that low. Okay, I want to look at the top 25. Obviously, this is going to be pretty relevant now at this point of the year. So Miami, the first overall team. This is actually the 0-1 Miami team, so they might be a bit of a house right now too. I was going to put them in the sim, but they're not really an offensive team, and they were already like made on the roster. UW, Utah. Okay, so our teams aren't really up there. I guess everyone has 0 losses at the top of the bracket, but they'll start getting knocked off a little bit there. Nebraska actually pretty high. Oklahoma, LSU. So our guys all have like 1 or 2 losses, but by the end of the year, that should shake out a bit. I'm going to guess Vince Young is right here. Boom. Vince Young, then Joe Burrow, Ahmad Green, Jamal Charles. So Texas has 2 guys who are top 5 Heisman. Texas looks like the best team in the sim so far. Okay, let's look at where these teams are all sitting in the SEC. So in total offense, we have Texas pretty much far and away number 1, 300 yards more than the next team, and then 1,400 yards above Auburn. That's insane. They have played 1 more game, but that is insane. Pass yards, LSU, Texas, Auburn. So wow. Rush yards, but like look at Texas, 2nd in rush yards. This Texas team looks absolutely insane. 1st in points. They won the Natty last year. Vince Young seems like he is just on a different level than the rest of the players in this sim. Crazy. Let's take a look at who's sitting. So highest rated passer, Vince Young. Mariota, this is the first noise we've really seen from Mariota in the sim. Cam, Leinart, Mack are all there. Frazier, Lawrence has been bad in this sim. He's a 99 overall. There's no reason he should be that low, but he is. Vince Young, the most passing yards. Crazy. Cam right there, Mack, Winston. Passing TDs, Burrow, Vince Young. They look like the 2 best quarterbacks, but you got to factor in Vince is running the ball, might have the most rushing yards. Then we have Ahmad Green, J.K. Dobbins, Jamal Charles, Devontae Freeman, Noah Kane, Travis Etienne, Najee Harris, Kenyon Barner. So I'm surprised Lawrence. Okay, so there's Phillips for Nebraska. There's Vince Young. So Vince Young does have the most rushing yards for a QB. Crazy. Freeman, Charles, Kane. Where was Bush? Bush has been pretty consistently near the top. Okay, a little further down, only 92 carries, averaging a ton of yards per reception. Jefferson, 1st in receiving yards, then Snead. Those 2 are far and away. But then you have Jamar Chase right kind of in there behind, and Terrace Marshall. So they have 3 of the top 4 receivers on LSU. So Texas and LSU are dominating this year. It is pretty clear to see. They are just absolutely dominating statistically. Kind of crazy. Jamar right there, Snead, Mims, Jarrett. I mean, if Auburn would have beat Texas, that would have been a really huge turn of events. I want to see out of running backs who's kind of leading the charge for receiving yards. That's always kind of interesting to see. Aaron Hernandez right there. None of the running backs are getting a ton of yards. It looks like Kenyon is in 1st. Surprise. Yeah, Najee, Jamal. I would have liked to see Bush up here with more like 500-600, but that is where we are sitting. Wow. Okay. So Auburn and LSU seem to have pretty commanding leads on where we sit in this sim. I would be really interested to see if they have played yet, if they, when they play each other in the season. Let's see. So BYU, Texas right now, LSU, Alabama. That is a big game. I want to see if we have an LSU versus Texas coming up. So looks like they don't play each other at this point, like any point left in the regular season. I want to see if there's any other matchups matchups that would be cool to sim to. Ohio State, Texas could be cool. Okay, no matchups I really want to see that badly. I think we're just going to simulate to the championship, to the conference championship week, simulate 5 weeks, see where everyone sits, and just get a gauge. I would love if it was LSU, Texas. I can't remember if I put them in the same side of the bracket, like SEC West, SEC East. So I don't know if they can meet in the conference final. I can't remember who it was last year, but we could see those two. That's kind of the dream right now. They seem like the two best teams in the sim, but hey, there's lots of football to be played. All right, so let's take a look at the matchup. Let's see who is in this conference championship game. Alabama, Texas. Texas actually lost another game earlier in the year, so they're both 10-2. So I don't think we will actually be able to get either of them in the Natty. I don't know. Maybe if Texas wins, they would still get in. Let's look at the conference standings though and just see how everyone kind of finished. So those are the two best teams record-wise. So LSU, wow. LSU ended up losing quite a few games down the stretch. Florida State, Nebraska, USC, Oklahoma. So a ton of like 6-6. That's the problem with everyone in the same conferences. They are going to pick each other off, but really we want to play them all against each other, so it's a fair sim. So everybody plays each other. You're gonna have to go up against some of the best teams in the country of all time in order to put up really good stats. Okay, let's look at the team stats, see where they sit. So Texas, then Bama. So Bama looks like they had a really big late surge in the season, getting hot at the right time. Second most total yards, but Texas far and away in first. Then LSU, Florida, Oregon had a good end to the year. Nebraska, after that hot start, kind of fell, and Clemson has just been really not great in this sim. LSU, Texas, Bama, Oklahoma, Auburn for most passing yards. Rushing yards, obviously it's going to be Nebraska every year, but Ohio State, Florida, Texas just can run, can throw. Bama edges out. These aren't the final. This isn't final. We will be including the bowl games and the conference championship game as well for points per game and stuff, but that is massive. Bama 0.1 points over Texas, USC, LSU, Oklahoma, Oregon, Florida State. Wow. Okay, let's look at the season stats. So VY has just been an absolute beast. Joe Burrow, Leinart, Mac. Let's look at yards. We'll go through kind of quick here because these aren't going to be the final one. So Burrow just ahead of VY right now in total yards. Mac right there as well. So yeah, Bama had a huge surge late in the year. Mac 49 touchdown passes, one ahead of Leinart. So Burrow, Newton, VY actually didn't have quite as many pass touchdowns considering all his yards. Let's actually look at like Fields, Lawrence, Leinart, crazy. Ton of touchdowns, not a ton of passing yards. Kind of just throwing near the red zone a little bit, it seems. But yeah, so that's where we sit. Let's go look at rushing yards. So Ahmad Green, Nebraska, back-to-back, most yards in the conference. Just different running back each year. J.K. Dobbins, Freeman, Najee, Kenyon Barner, Lawrence Phillips right there. Etienne, Bush with 1,000, Jamal, Lendale White. So Bush, that's the thing. Bush and Lendale are kind of, scooping carries off each other. VY, 800 yards, almost 1,000 yards. And there's still games to be played, so he probably will crack 1,000. Ahmad Green, 26 touchdowns. Freeman 25. Crazy. Let's quickly look at receiving because like I said, these aren't the final stats. So DeAnthony and Justin Jefferson fighting for the most yards. Devontae Smith had a late push here. Darvin Adams, Percy, Jamar just wasn't getting the rock. Jefferson had 30 more receptions so far this year. Waddle, there we go. Let's look at touchdowns. Mims, Chase, Jarrett, Waddle, Snead. Ton of big marks right there. Alrighty. Okay, we're definitely going to go on the field a little bit here and check out some of this SEC championship game 100%. Okay, just wanted to look at top 25. Somehow San Jose State, even though they are 12-0, they're ranked third in the country. Don't love that. So like if San Jose State makes the national championship, and somehow Oklahoma's ahead of Texas, even though they have 3 losses. I don't know. That seems weird. But anyway, let's hope if Bama or Texas wins, the committee, makes sense and puts one of our guys in the Natty, because that would be dope. But if not, this is for all the marbles between all these teams. So this is going to be a massive game. Let's get into it. So this is where they sit. Super similar offensively. Both, really solid running the ball, great passing offenses, basically the same points per game. But surprisingly, Texas has quite a bit better of a defense, at least in points per game allowed. But hey, this is going to be a killer matchup. SEC championship, Alabama, Texas. This is a national title rematch too from like, what was that, like 2010 or 11 or something when they met in the Natty. I think that was Nick Saban's first national championship with Auburn or with Alabama. There's the conference standings on each side of the bracket. Here was the other side. So Oklahoma just missed out on the conference championship. Same with Nebraska. Like I said, LSU kind of came back to the pack near the end of the year there. So this is a huge game for Texas. They're trying to win back-to-back SEC championships. They were the national champions last year, but Alabama 14-3 lead so far after the first quarter. Absolutely huge. 14-3 still, 14-3, 14-3, punting the ball back and forth. 21-3. This could be the Bama coming out party. It looked like VY was just stopped inside the red zone. Didn't get any points there. Wow. So big lead Alabama. Let's see what happens. We're going to go to the fourth quarter here. Obviously 28-3. So Vince Young basically needs to put on a Superman type show in the fourth quarter. I don't think he's going to do it. Let's see here. Vince Young, 28-14. Okay. 35-14. So that is basically going to do it. 21. Okay. Bama onside. Yeah. So 38-21. No shot. Alabama with the pretty convincing win, 38-28. Even they had a 14 point lead almost the whole game. Weren't able to hop down and see anything cool. Vince Young honestly played pretty good. 446 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jamal, they kind of shut him down on the ground. Receiving wise, Pittman, Kane, Charles. There we go. If we look at Bama, Devontae, Billingsley, so they must have ran the ball for Najee Harris, 205 yards on the ground. So they dominated this Texas front. Wow. So yeah, Mac just kind of picked him apart when he needed it, under 200 yards, and they scored 38 points. So Alabama knocks off Texas, defending national champions, and they go down in the SEC final. I don't think with 2 losses, Bama will be able to make the Natty, but obviously, hey, we're going to advance a week. Maybe Bama will get in. I doubt it, but we will see. Wow. Deuce Vaughn beats Vince Young out for the Heisman. That shocks me. Then we had Ahmad Green and Devontae Freeman, but man, the type of season Vince Young, maybe because they thought he didn't win the SEC championship, so they weren't going to give him the Heisman. I don't know. That shocks me. Very surprising. Deuce Vaughn. I'm pretty sure Deuce Vaughn is like friggin' 5'4". So wow. Here's our bowl matchups. I wish I could edit these and put some of our guys against each other. Texas, Miami. Wow. So Oklahoma, Georgia. That's quite a game. Bama is in the Sugar Bowl against North Carolina. So who's in the national final? San Jose State and Baylor is the national final. Oh my goodness. And we have Texas versus Miami. I wish I could edit this. Wow. That is insane. How is that our national championship? San Jose State over Alabama. Wow. Okay. So that is insane. We have some cool bowl matchups. Oklahoma, Georgia. That's a great game. North Carolina, 4th in the country. Bama, 6th. This Peach Bowl is insane. 1 loss Miami versus, 13 seed Texas, but these might be the 2 best teams in the whole sim. This Miami team is absolutely stacked. That's a team with like Ed Reed, all those guys. They will be in a later sim, but yeah, this is just a file of legendary teams I made. So there are like Georgia's really good in this, but they just weren't really as good of offenses. And eventually I want to do a similar sim, but just with all the best teams. So we'll be looking at offense and defense. But okay, so insane national championship. I don't even know what to say. We're going to sim through the bowls. We're going to look at the final stats. We're going to look, Bama's going to get points for winning the SEC. Nobody won the Heisman. Vince Young kind of got robbed in my opinion, but we're going to look at final stats, team stats, kind of go over the points everybody's going to get for those. All right. So we are going to look at team stats first. In the SEC. So the most total yards, Texas is going to get 5 points for that. Then Bama is in second, so they'll get 4. LSU in third, so they'll get 3. 2 for Florida, 1 for Oregon. Then if we look at rush yards, Nebraska is basically going to win this every year. So Nebraska, Ohio State, USC, Florida, Texas, another point there. So they double up on both sides of the bracket. Then highest scoring team, 5 points for Bama there, 4 for LSU, 3 for, okay, so Texas fell a little bit here. So that's going to hurt them. I thought they'd have a pretty big lead in this sim after this year, but they kind of fumbled a little bit. Auburn did not have as good of a year 2. Bama had a much better year 2 than year 1. LSU kind of somewhat consistent through both years. So that'll be very interesting. This is still going to be anybody's game going into year 3. Okay, let's look at passing. So now it's only going to be the top 3 for this. So Burrow is going to get 3 points for LSU, then 2 points for Texas, then Leinart just narrows out over Cam Newton. He is going to get a point for USC for that. Then pass yards, Vince Young, Burrow, Mac Jones, and pretty big gap. Those 3 were kind of just far and away the top 3. Then if we look at pass touchdowns, Mac Jones had 56, Leinart 50, Cam. There we go. So that's the top 3. Kind of want to look at Frazier, 1,800 yards. I mean, they're just going to run the ball. 18-1 touchdown to interception ratio, though, you'll take. Fields, Leinart, once again, has a ton of touchdown passes, but doesn't throw for a ton of yards. He has Lendell White, Reggie Bush, so they're gonna rely on running the ball. But there we go. Ahmad Green falls just shy of 2,000 yards, plus 28 touchdowns. Crazy. Najee Harris, J.K. Dobbins, Devontae Freeman, Reggie Bush, but these are the top 3, so that's where that mark will sit. I want to look at QBs because they're going to get points for that. So Vince Young gets 3 points for that. Then Tim Tebow gets 2, and Justin Fields gets 1 point. So that is where we're sitting there. Tommy Frazier actually doesn't finish top 3, which is somewhat surprising for me. Okay, we look at touchdowns. Ahmad Green, Devontae Freeman, and Jamal Charles, and Rainey, Barner, Harris. That's where everyone else is sitting. So Vince Young. So this is the other thing I got to look at. I got to look at total touchdowns. So Vince Young, you could add 9 to his. And okay, so yeah, that's really, if Vince Young with his 9 rushing touchdowns could get into the top here, 45 plus 9, he will. He's going to shoot all the way to second with total touchdowns. Actually, we'll have to look at Cam Newton also. So this is going to be a little bit of math on my part. So Cam Newton finishes with 4. So that'll put Cam up ahead above Leinart and put him at 53. And then Vince Young is going to get 9, putting him at 54. So it'll be Mac, then Vince Young, then Cam Newton for total touchdowns. I want to do total instead of just rushing or just passing for that. So that is where we sit there. Obviously, I'm going to add up all these points and go over that in a second, guys. You'll see it pop on screen for who is leading in total points after the 2 years. So then we have Justin Jefferson, most receptions. So he'll get 3 points, then 2 points for Alabama with Devontae Smith, then 1 point for Snead. Then just kind of looking through, then yards, same thing. So 3 for Jefferson, 2. So top 3 once again. Then we have DeAnthony Thomas, Percy Harvin, Jamar Chase had a ton of touchdowns, not as many receptions this year. Rashad Green, Billy Pittman, CeeDee Lamb, Olave, Aaron Hernandez. I want to see the most for running backs. I always think that is interesting as well, and you do get points for that. So it's going to be 3 points here for Kenyon Barner. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to get 2, and then Najee Harris just ekes out past Etienne and Jamal Charles. So that's kind of what all those numbers are looking like. Then they also will get points for receiving touchdowns. So it is going to be Dwayne Jarrett, Marvin Mims, and so now LSU and Bama, you'll each get 1 point for that as well. And Devontae Smith just outside of that top 3. Okay, so that is where we sit after 2 years. I'm going to add up all the points, then add up the points after year 1 as well, and give you guys where we sit after 2 seasons. All right, so after season 2, this is where each team sits. So LSU is now in first place. They got 21 points in season 2, meaning they are at 45 total. Then second place is Texas with 39 points after getting 20 last year. Then third is Alabama with 36 after getting 27 points in the last season. Then fourth is Auburn, but they only got 1 point last year, so they are at 24 points now. And then tied for fifth, we have Nebraska and USC, each with 21 points after getting 10 and 11 last season. So those are the kind of the 6 teams that are still in the running to win this thing. Then teams like Florida, Clemson, Oregon, Ohio State, Oklahoma, and Florida State really have struggled and haven't got much much going. But out of that top 6, it is really anybody's game. And we are going to update this one more time at the end of year 3 to see who the winner is. All right, guys, here we are at the start of year 3. I want to quickly look at the rosters. Now, obviously, this is, the 3rd season, so most of these teams are going to be absolutely chock full of 99s. Like, you look at this Bama team, I think they might be the most talented right now. Insane overall talent. Auburn has some star power at the top, but they just don't have that depth all the way through. They have a ton of good players, but just not the players that just go all the way down the whole lineup. So that's kind of the difference for them. Then we get into some of the teams like Clemson or Ohio State. Like, this Clemson team look at all the 99s. They have a ton of talent. I could see them taking a huge step up this season after, the first 2 seasons, them not really doing much. Same with Florida. I thought Florida coming into this was one of my absolute favorites to, possibly win it all. They have not had a strong first 2 seasons, but with the amount of talent they have, same with Florida State. I would say Florida State is a notch below in overall talent, but they've guys like Jalen Ramsey coming into their own, Ronald Darby. They still have Kelvin Benjamin, Jameis Winston, so they have a shot for sure. LSU been the, first in points so far. They easily have a chance to win it all, go down as the best offensive team we have ever seen in this sim. Nebraska, obviously the best rushing team in the sim. They have Frazier, Phillips, and Ahmad Green, who basically the whole offense is built around. They have an insane O-line, but they don't have quite the depth going through. So you see they kind of have their 96, 97s, then go to 80s. So they don't have that depth all the way through their lineup that some of the other teams will have. Ohio State, they're another team. A ton of overall great players who could make some noise in the final year. Oklahoma, I would say, doesn't quite have that top level star power, especially on defense, but offensively they are very, very good. Oregon, once again, maybe not quite as deep throughout, but a ton of good players on both sides of the ball. Still a chance they could make some noise in this last year. Then we get to Texas. I'd say them, LSU, Bama are the clear favorites in year 3, but you never know what is going to happen. A ton of really good players for this Texas squad. Then lastly, we have SC. Now, I'm a little surprised. I thought SC was going to show out a little better through this sim, be a little better overall, but if you look at this team, still, like, they have an outside shot. If LSU, Alabama, one of those, or those teams falter and USC wins the Natty, wins the Heisman, something like that, they could still take this home. So this is where we sit at the start of year 3. Actually, let's look at the top 25. Let's see where all our schools sit. So wow, USC is actually at 1st overall. Then we have Nebraska at 6, Bama at 7, Texas is 8, 9 Ohio State, Florida at 11. So we have some really good teams here. LSU at 16, 17 Oregon, 19. So we have a ton of teams all throughout the top 25. This really is anybody's game to start. We look at the Heisman watch. We have Ahmad Green in 1st, not really a huge surprise. Tebow in the top 5, Vince Young, and Baker Mayfield. Okay, so we are going to simulate to week 6. Then we'll see where everyone sits. All right, now we are in week 6. Let's take a look at the SEC standings, and we have Texas at 4-1. So Texas is looking like they have the inside track here. Oregon, Ohio State, Auburn. So some of the teams like Oregon, Ohio State, who weren't doing great earlier in the sim, having a bit of a bounce back here. LSU 3-2, Bama 2-2, SC 3-2. So Texas has a bit of a commanding lead right here at the bottom. We have Nebraska. So no team really is out of it. 2 losses is kind of the floor. No teams with just 1 win. Clemson 3-1 there as well. So everybody's in the mix, but Texas looks like they have that inside track a little bit. Okay, let's look at the season stats. Now, keep in mind, there is also going to be an MVP where I'm going to give the best running back, best receiver, and best quarterback an extra 5 points towards their team's total if they are sim MVP. That's where I'll look at the stats throughout all 3 years and just kind of decide who is the best player overall. So right here we have Tebow, a 218.7 QB rating, really high. Mariota, so Mariota's finally starting to show out a little bit. Cam, Fields, Baker, Lawrence, so a ton of really high ratings. And Burrow, all of a sudden near the bottom. Wow, that is kind of surprising. Burrow, Frazier are kind of the only 2 passers who aren't doing really great. if we look at yards, Mariota in first. So Oregon is off to a really good start here. Tebow, VY, Liner, Burrow has a ton of yards, so maybe he's just throwing, no, he's not even throwing interceptions. I don't know why his QB rating is a little lower. Baker, Winston, there we go. Touchdowns, Tebow in first, Mariota, Burrow, Liner, Winston. Very good. Okay, if we look at rushing yards, wow, this is the first time I think I've ever looked and one of the Nebraska running backs weren't leading the country in rushing. So that is interesting. We have Najee, then Reggie Bush showing out, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Ahmad Green, Kenyon Barner, Travis Etienne, Michael Dyer, Jamal Charles. We look at touchdown, Jamal, then Reggie Bush, Lawrence Phillips, Michael Dyer. So that is where everyone is kind of sitting. I want to take a look at QB rush yards actually as well. Here we have VY in first. That's kind of standard. Tebow right there, Fields right there. I think Tebow might have the inside track to win in the Heisman this year. If we look at receiving yards, we have Percy, Dwayne Jarrett, Terrace Marshall, Aaron Hernandez for a tight end. That is an absolute ton. Hollywood Brown. There we go. So okay. So Florida offensively looking really strong here. I want to see receiving yards just for running backs quick. Kenyon Barner with 250. Then we have Jamal, 200. Reggie there at about 184. So that's where everyone's sitting. I want to look quickly at team stats, see where everyone is sitting here. So total offense, it looks like we have Florida in first, then Oregon, then SC, then Texas, then LSU. The one team I haven't been seeing. Bama has the worst offense in the SEC. That is a little surprising. They have played one less game than some of the teams, but still, that's not going to make up for almost 1,000 yards. Number one pass offense, Oregon and Florida tied for first. Wow, coming from the back of the pack, but Florida is 3-2. They got to start winning, racking up the win. The rushing yards are kind of surprising. Okay, so Nebraska has played one less game than USC and Florida. So that is going to change that a little bit. Points per game, 51.2 for Auburn. That is insane. Then we have Florida, Oregon, Oklahoma, Clemson. Wow, crazy. Pass TDs, Florida in first. Rush TDs, Texas, Nebraska, Auburn. So that is where we are sitting, guys. I want to take a look, see if we have any big time matchups that we want to see. So I'm going to go to SEC schedule here. I'm going to go through the weeks and see when the next game I kind of want to hop in. Nebraska versus Auburn could be interesting. USC, Clemson. Okay, I'm going to sim a little bit further into the season, see who the kind of big time teams we need to look out for as the year goes on. Then we will see if there's any matchups. We'll go to week 10. All right, so here we are in week 10. Let's take another look at these conference standings. This is going to give us a really good idea on who's going to be in the running at the end. Texas, 8-1. In my opinion, consistently the best team through the sim. Off to a really good start here. 8-1 record. I definitely would like to hop in a game and see them. A ton of 2-loss teams though. LSU, Ohio State, Bama, Clemson. So any of these four are still there with Texas. Only 2 losses. Anybody's ball game. I would have liked to see SC kind of pull it out here in this final year and make a game of this sim. Florida, same thing. They were off to such a good start this year, but haven't been able to close out games. Same with Nebraska. I would have liked to see a good showing in this final year, but I mean, the top 3 are still in the running. These 3 have been the best teams throughout the sim. Bama, LSU, Texas. It's gonna come down to one of them, but it's nice to see Ohio State and Clemson. Neither of them have been very good through the sim so far. So it's good to see them kind of, jump back in. Okay, we're not going to look at all the player stats. We've just looked at them, but I want to look at total offense. So Florida is actually first in the whole country, but we're just going to go. So that's surprising. Florida and SC, they're going to get points for that if they stay at the ranking, but they haven't turned those into wins. There we have Texas, Oregon, Bama. So Bama had a bit of a slow start to the year, but they're bouncing back. Texas actually the most passing yards. Florida, SC, Oregon. Rush yards, of course, Nebraska, but look at Bama and SC. Both really, really good points per game. So come back to earth a little bit. All these teams are, I think Auburn had over 50, but Texas, Oregon, SC, Auburn, Bama, Oklahoma, Florida. So that's where everyone sits there. Yeah, we could go look at top 25. I want to see how like the undefeated teams are looking. So Miami, Penn State, Utah, Houston, all undefeated. Houston should not be there, but I mean, Penn State, we got to have Miami, Penn State. We got to have some of these teams lose so we can can get some of our guys in the natty, like East Carolina. How's Texas? Where is Texas? Did I miss them? Okay, no, they're at 5. So Texas is right there. Best one-loss team in the country right now. Let's look at a Heisman watch. Vince Young, of course. Tebow, Jamal Charles, Najee Harris. So that is where everyone's sitting. Okay, I want to see our scores and schedules. I want to look at these upcoming games. I want to see if we can hop into one of these games before the SEC championship game. USC, Ohio State. SC hasn't really held its own through the sim. Clemson, Oklahoma, Vandy, Miami, Florida State. Miami's the #1 team in the country. Then week 11, we have Oklahoma, Nebraska, Ohio State, Texas. That could be a good game. Bama, LSU. Okay, let's go Bama, LSU. So we're going to sim 2 this week, and then we are going to hop in and watch that Alabama versus LSU game. That is huge. That is a big game I want to see. So Oklahoma, Nebraska, Ohio State, Texas. That's a big game. 6-2 versus 6-2. Alabama, LSU. Huge game on the docket. Let's play this game. The winner of this has a really good chance to play Texas in the SEC championship game. So absolutely massive, huge freaking game right here. Let's see what happens. So this is where every team sits. So Bama actually is the most yards in the whole country, 6th in points. Defensively, Bama looks a little better. Neither team is is overall amazing. Here's the top 3 for each squad. Let's see what happens here. Bama, LSU in Death Valley, one of the best rivalries in college football. Of course, we got to hop in. So 7-8 in the country, trying to keep pace with Texas. This game is huge. So we will be super simming. Then we will hop in the 4th quarter if it is close. So sim in the 1st quarter, Bama 7-0, LSU right back 7-7, 14-7. LSU right back. Looks like they're about to go score. We're in the red zone. Let's just see. So they're in the red zone, 151 to 143 total yards. Both teams back and forth. Let's see what Joe Cool's got. Fires it underneath. I think that's Terrace Marshall, gets tackled right away. 2nd and goal at the 10-yard line. Here's Joe Cool in shotgun. Play action fake, drops back. Who's that? That's Jamar Chase underneath inside the 5-yard line. This is a huge play. Jamar's already got 78 yards through the air on this great Alabama team. So here it is. Try to tie this ball game up. Huge. LSU in Death Valley. Let's see it. Joe Burrow under center. Tight end motions across the formation. What do you got, Joe? Cool drop, 3-step drop, pressure in his face. He throws it away. I'm assuming they're going to kick a field goal there, make it a 1-score game. So we will simulate the end of this quarter. Yep, 14-10, but Bama goes right down and scores. LSU goes right down and score. 20. Okay, so LSU gets a touchdown at the end of 24-21 at halftime. This is a great game. Let's keep it. Oh my God, I think Bama returned a touchdown. 35-24 all of a sudden. Bama jumps on him, 35-31. Okay, 4th quarter. Here we go. I want to hop on the field here. I think this is Bama driving. They're inside. They're a touchdown. Mac Jones to John Mechie, 13-yard touchdown. Go up 10 points. Okay, LSU needs an answer drive. Let's see. Boom. Terrace Marshall. Boom. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 67-yard rush. Stuck 3. Okay, we're going to go play by play here. Let's see if we can get down in the red zone. Alabama. Mac Jones throwaway. Drop by Najee, LSU football. Okay, so LSU football here, down 3 late in the 4th. They are driving. Joe Burrow, 3-yard rush, 12 yards to Terrace Marshall. Boom. Oh, Jefferson looks like he's down to the 1-yard line. Oh my goodness, this is an amazing game. Mac Jones is gonna have to drive here, 1st and goal from the 1. It'll be shocking if LSU isn't able to punch us in. I'm surprised they're not trying to run the ball here. Keep the clock moving. Bama still has 3 timeouts, so they can, they're gonna get the ball back with plenty of time. LSU is running this clock down. I'm honestly shocked they're not trying to run the ball here. Burrow drops back, fires it in, touchdown right there. Easy dot for Burrow, 381 yards and 5 touchdown passes, 45-42. Mac Jones is about to get this ball back, and let's watch this drive. This is why we wanted to do this sim. Two of the best teams ever trying to fight and claw to, finish this 3-year sim as the best overall team. Oh my goodness, Najee Harris, mean, scary runs right there. Alabama hurrying to the line. Both these teams have to keep pace with Texas. This is the drive of the season right here for Mac and this Alabama team. Mechie, oh my God, Mechie just got folded in half. I noticed when I hop in here, they don't really use their timeouts. So they did get the first down. That is huge. Like, you have 3 timeouts. I definitely would try using some of them, but I've noticed when I hop in and watch it, they get very weird with timeout usage. Mac throwing it underneath. Boom, nice completion. Najee Harris, like, I would use a timeout there, but they're not. They're gonna keep it rocking. Here we go. Mac Jones in shotgun. Really good drive so far for Mac and this Bama team trying to come to Death Valley and take this one down the field. That was Derek Stingley. He's guaranteed a 99 overall at this point of the year. Could have iced it there. There's a big completion for Bama to get on the LSU side of the 50-yard line. Little motion across the formation with the tight end. So many weapons for this Bama team. Mac drops back. Looking, firing, but he's firing underneath. Use that timeout there, I would say. Not enough yards there. You need a bigger play. Definitely want to push the ball a little bit more down the field there if you're Alabama. But here we go. Mac in shotgun. What has he got? Trips to the top of the screen, drops back, drags underneath. Boom. Oh, Jalen Waddle. He's got blockers out in front. Jalen Waddle. He's the fastest man alive. Inside the 20. Jalen Waddle. And Mac Jones is going step for step with Joe Burrow. He's got like 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. Joe had like 500 yards and 5. So they are right neck and neck here. Here's Mac, drops back. Boom, checks it down underneath to Najee. Big stiff arm. 1 timeout left, 30 seconds, 2nd and 3 inside the 15-yard line at just on the 10. Here we go. Mac, he's spiking that ball. 3rd and 3. So you got 2 downs to get inside either the end zone, get it 3 more yards, give you a new set of downs. What a finish here. This is why I wanted to do this sim, guys. All about the offenses here. Mac Jones, what do you got for us here, my guy? Drops back, 2-step, drop, sacked. He's going down. That's 4th down. You better use your timeout. 4th and 7, 19 seconds on the... I don't know why they do this. They're going to rush to the clock, kill all their time. Use your timeout there. 11 seconds. Mac drops back, needs to make a play here. Fires it in the end zone. Picked off. Is that... No, that's not Stingley, but there it is. Interception, LSU. Mac Jones forces it into the corner, and that is it. LSU is going to win this one in Death Valley. Huge drive for Joe Burrow to win it there at the end. 381 yards, 5 touchdowns for Burrow. Mac was killer. Threw a pick on 4th and 7 at the end of the game. That sack on 3rd and 3 absolutely killed them. Tough turn events for our guy Mac Jones, but LSU takes this one. Wow, that puts them in the driver's seat to meet Texas in that SEC final. That huge game for Allaire, Jefferson, and Chase. Huge game. So all the usual suspects for LSU. For Bama, Waddle 113 yards. Then a bunch of guys had around 50. Najee 100. So both teams played great. This was either team's ball game. Either team could have won. LSU holds on at the end, stays at 2 losses. That drops Bama down to 3 losses. To me, that really gives LSU and Texas the inside track, for the #1 team. Okay, we are going to simulate to the conference championship game. So we are going to see, I'm going to guess right now, LSU Texas in the SEC champ. But hey, anything can happen. If LSU loses, Texas could lose a few games. You never know. All right, here we are, conference championship weekend. Let's look at the matchup first, and then we will take a look at where each team sat in overall record. So conference championship, Texas, LSU, 9-3 versus 9-3. So Texas actually lost a few games down the stretch. That basically guarantees neither team will be in the Natty, which is unfortunate. But LSU, Texas, kind of the 2 best teams throughout the whole sim, in my opinion. Okay, let's look at the final conference standings in our final year, the 3rd year of this sim. So yeah, 9-3. So OU actually finished 9-3 as well. Probably lost the head-to-head to one of those teams. Then Florida, Nebraska, Clemson, USC, Bama had a rough end of the year, 7-5. That is going to hurt their chances of winning it all for sure. Okay, let's look at the top 25. I do want to see if maybe we have an outside shot of someone. Yeah, Miami 12-0, Penn State 12-0, Georgia 11-1. Yeah, we don't have a shot, I don't think, of making the Natty. So this is kind of the big one. This Texas LSU game, we are about to watch it. This could have a huge impact. This is 5 points up for grabs. Whoever wins this game wins the SEC championship. That could be make or break, giving the one team the edge over the other. So this is huge. This is massive. 12-13, 3 lost teams. This basically, think of this as the national championship to win it all in this sim. Obviously, anything can still happen. This is going to give each team just the total inside track. So there we sit. Both teams 7th in the country in total scoring, 12th and 13 in total yards. One's a little more run heavy, one's a little more pass heavy. Pretty similar defensively as well. So obviously this is anybody's ball game. Joe Burrow, the classic pocket passer against Vince Young, one of the best, most athletic quarterbacks in the history of college football. So a tale of two different teams, but kind of felt like they've been on a collision course through the whole sim. Let's see what happens. So here we go. We are going to simulate through this quarter. Here we go. Boom, 3 points for LSU, 7 for Texas, 7 for LSU, 10-7. Vince Young's got the football. Let's go to the next quarter. Boom, 14-10. Okay, what's going on here? 17-14. Okay, so 140 left. Texas is driving at the end of the half. Let's watch this. 204 to 199 in total yards. So this is back and forth, two evenly matched teams. Jamal Charles and Vince Young in the shotgun. Hands it off to Jamal. Falls forward for about 3-4 yards. That gives us 3rd and 4. Texas football. Jamal's only averaging 3.5 yards per carry. So LSU isn't doing a job of shutting him down at least. But I would imagine VY is doing his thing. Okay, Young and shotgun, 3rd and 4, trying to score to go up. If not, they can underneath there. Oh my goodness, huge hit there by the LSU defender. But VY 133 yards and a touchdown inside the 10-yard line now, trying to end this half. Going up 4 would be huge to take the lead in this championship game. Hands off to Jamal down to the 1-yard line. Jamal Charles running hard in between the tackles there. Big pickup down inside the 1-yard line, and the clock's running. You don't want to give LSU this ball with much time left on the clock at all. I probably used a timeout here if I was LSU, but here we go. VY speed option, pitches it out to Jamal. Picture perfect touchdown, Texas. They are going to go up 4 with LSU getting the ball back. 31 seconds. We will 30-yard strike by Burrow. There we go. Huge play by Burrow to already get over into the LSU side of the field. Let's see what he can do at the end of this drive. Burrow in shotgun, drops back, scanning over the top. Boom. Justin Jefferson. What a throw by Burrow. Dropped that in a bucket. So that was a 30-yard strike, then a 25-yard strike, back to back on the 20-yard line. What a drive by Joe Cool against this Texas team. Play action to Allaire, drops back, drops it down to Allaire, fights forward. LSU, I would have used the timeout there. 1 timeout, 16 seconds left. They are hurrying to the ball. Here we go. Burrow in shotgun, split backs, drops back, straight drop, has time, sacked. They have a timeout. I'm assuming they'll use it. Use your timeout. They use their timeout. They are going to kick a field goal. Wow, 21-20. What a game in this SEC championship game. I hope it's close to the end. 28-21 LSU. What do we got? 24-28 in the 4th quarter. Okay, LSU has the ball at the 15-yard line. A touchdown here puts them up 2 scores. A field goal, they are up 7. So this is a huge drive. Texas needs a stop. 1st and 10. Burrow drops back, finds Jamar Chase in the flats, picks up 5 yards. Okay, Burrow at the 10-yard line of Texas, up 4 in the 4th quarter. SEC championship. Burrow drops back, fires it into the flats one more time to Jamar. Spins into the end zone. Jamar, too strong. Wow, what a drive, LSU. Okay, we're going to go next change of possession here. We're going to see what Texas has to offer. Vince Young, Jamal Charles, Sneed inside the 10. This is back and forth. Two great offensive teams. Texas is down 2 scores, so they need a touchdown here. Right there on cue. He might be just outside. Huge pickup for VY, but they do need the touchdown. Then they need a defensive stop. Ooh, VY has not had the best game. 210 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I'm assuming he must have ran for some yards then, because I mean, they do have 24 points, about to be in the 30-point range already. Okay, Jamal Charles up the middle. There we go. Gonna be stuck for, they could actually go for 2, I guess, but they're still going to be down a score. They need a stop on defense. Here we go. They did. They went for 2. LSU football, Terrace Marshall for 25. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Okay, so this is 3rd and 8. We're going to watch this. Play of the game right here. If Texas stops them, they get the ball back with 3 minutes left. Chance to go win this ball game. Oh, they hand it off. Oh my God. Was Clyde Edwards-Helaire trying to throw that football? I don't know. Don't love that play call. It is now 4th and 12. Clyde Edwards-Helaire only 2.8 yards per carry. Huge stop there for Texas. They get the ball back from their own, looks like inside their own 5-yard line. 18-yard pickup right there. 12-yard gain. Incomplete. 6-yard rush drive by Jamal. Oh my goodness, they punted the ball. Wow. LSU football, Clyde. This is 3rd and 2. This is basically the ball game. Wow, Texas. LSU in empty. Burrow shotgun. This is it. Play of the game. They bring a blitz. Oh my God, Burrow stood in there, delivered a strike, a blitzing linebacker in his face. He took it on the chops. And that will do it. Texas has no timeouts. Burrow passed for 21 yards. What do we got? -2, -1. Okay, somehow it's 4th and I don't really get what happened there. They should have been able to run the clock out. No, I don't know. I don't really get that, but there we go. Maybe my internal math is way wrong, but Texas is going to get a shot here. Down 3, under 50 seconds left by the time they get the football. Not a great chance with no timeouts, but they have a shot. We do have a shot in this SEC final. We will see what VY can do. Punts it through the end zone. 42 seconds left. Here's the breakdown of the game. 458 to 410 total yards. You know, pretty close. It is Vince Young time. He has been, Joe Burrow and Vince Young have been the 2 best QBs in the sim. We will see right here who is able to cap this off. VY and shotgun, motion across the field. This has to be straight drop back past the rock. Vince Young fires it underneath. That is honestly probably better. It was incomplete. VY, you got 38 seconds, buddy. You can't be checking it down. You need to push the ball down the field. Here we go. Stuck 3, 38 seconds left. Vince Young in shotgun. Pistol actually with Jamal behind him. Straight drop. Throws it out of bounds. Okay, not great for Vince Young here. Not what you want to see. I mean, he's not the pure passer of Joe Burrow. We all know that, but you would have liked to see a little better. 10 of 14 on 3rd down. Okay, we got bunch to the bottom of your screen. VY in shotgun, drops back, fires it in along the sideline. 4th and 3, 29 seconds left. I mean, at least he picked up some yards, but not being aggressive enough. Not going to get it done. If you want to kick a field goal here with no timeouts, you need to push this ball. I mean, you could do a quick out, get out of bounds here if you want, but I mean, they got to get out of bounds. Oh my God, Jamal down the sideline. Huge pickup, but should have went out of bounds. The clock is going to stop while they move the chains, but Jamal step out of bounds there, but that is a huge pickup. They have a shot here. They do have a shot. Here we go. Vince Young and shotgun. They're going to get this off. 2 seconds only clock down. Blitz coming. Okay, incomplete pass there is fine. 17 seconds left. They did a screen pass to Jamal, one of the fastest players in the country. He turns up the sideline for a huge pickup. That is massive. Okay, Vince Young in pistol. Jamal behind him. Drops back, steps up in the pocket, goes to Jamal. Get out of bounds. Okay. Well, that is just an AI thing. I mean, that is an internal NCAA thing. Jamal, you got to get out of bounds there. They're going to spike the clock. You would have left your team. He tries to go upfield to get an extra 15 seconds. Now, it is Vince Young. It basically has to be a Hail Mary. I mean, he should have the arm to get it there from this spot, but I don't even know if this is a Hail Mary look, but Okay, it is. Hail Mary. Oh my God, he had 2. Oh, that had a weird bounce, but he didn't even get it to the end zone. That is just, the internal AI of this NCAA game. It is an older game. I mean, you have to get out of bounds there if you're Jamal, but there it is. Joe Burrow made every single play when it mattered most. Jamar breaks a tackle in the flats, goes and scores. SEC championship, LSU. This gives them, it's going to be close. Texas, it's going to come down to the stats. Who's the best quarterbacks, receivers? But winning that game is an automatic extra 5 points to their score. That is huge. That is going to be huge. Joe Burrow, 405 yards, 3 touchdowns, massive. Totally shut down in the run, so it was all up to Joe. 100 yards for Marshall, 67, 67, 42, 48, 50. Joe was passing it everywhere, delivering the football to a bunch of different players. Texas just honestly didn't really deserve this one. Jamal had a good game, 63 yards on the ground for VY, but LSU was the better team today from the jump. There it is. Final season. LSU 2019 is the SEC champs. That is going to be massive. Okay, we are going to simulate to bowl season. We will see if there's any of our teams possibly playing in a bowl. Obviously, I don't think so, but we will see, and then we'll simulate bowls, and we're going to look at the final stats, and then I'm going to tabulate everything, add everything up, and show you guys who the winner is. And once again, remember, we will be looking at who had, the best MVP season at a QB, receiver, and running back, which will also help add to the end. So Vince Young wins the Heisman. All right, so Vince Young Heisman, that is huge because that's, I think, another 5 points for Texas. So that kind of balances out not winning the SEC championship. So here's the bowl games: Ohio State, Florida State, Auburn, Michigan, Alabama, USC, Minnesota, Baylor, Clemson, Texas, Wake, UAB, Nebraska, LSU, Mississippi State, Houston, Oklahoma, and that is the Orange Bowl. So what is LSU in? LSU is in the Sugar Bowl. So we did not have anyone make the national championship. Somehow Oklahoma is ranked ahead of LSU. Don't really get that. But there it is. So Heisman, Vince Young, SEC champs, LSU. No one will make the national final. So we are just going to simulate through the end of bowl season. Then we are going to look at the final stats of the year, team stats, points per game, who had the most rushing yards, receiving yards for all the players. Then I'm going to add up all the stats, and that is going to do the sim. And then I'll tell you guys who was the champ. Now, I am going to be doing something very similar to this, guys, in maybe a few weeks, week or two. But it is, instead of just focusing on offense, it is going to be focusing on offense and defense. So some of these teams are going to get swapped out for more complete teams like Georgia, the 2021 Georgia team, the 01 Miami team. Some teams will get swapped out who are more just offensive teams, like Oklahoma won't make that video. But then I'm going to be keeping track of defensive stats, who had the best defense plus the best offense, Heisman's, national championships. Then I'm going to add all those stats. So this is just focusing on offense. That is going to be the whole encompassing thing, and we can see who would go down as the best overall team in a 3-year sim. If you guys have anything you guys would think I should change for the next video, let me know, leave a comment, because I definitely am totally game to hear suggestions for that video as well. Okay, let's look. So this is going to be the final stats for this year. So LSU finishes with the most offensive yards. So that is going to be 5 points for them there. Texas finishes 30 yards behind them. So that is going to be 4 points. Bama in third. That's 3. Ohio State, then Florida. Clemson, Oklahoma, Auburn, SC, Oregon miss out on points there. Then passing yards, we calculate that with QBs, but total rush yards, Nebraska going to get 5 points. Auburn will get 3. Get 4. Alabama will get 3. 2 for Ohio State, 1 for Texas. So Texas gets a point there where LSU doesn't. Points per game, Auburn, Florida, Bama. Bama did really well in all these stats, but didn't do great in the win-loss column. Oklahoma, SC. So none for LSU or Texas there. They just miss out. So actually Bama, depending if Mac had a good year, if some of their receivers had a good year, Bama is honestly still in this. Okay. QB rating. So this is all going to be 3 points they will get here. Tebow will get 3. Justin Fields will get 2, then Baker Mayfield. So Mac just misses out on a point there. Passing yards, Burrow, Mayfield, Tebow. Vince Young just misses out on by 3 yards a point there. That is massive. Burrow is going to get 3. Okay, Now, touchdowns. Burrow has 57, Mayfield has 53, 51, Lawrence Leinart. So unless Vince Young had 12 rushing touchdowns, but even Tebow. So I'm going to have to add up the total touchdowns, but Burrow should safely get at least a few points. Vince Young, depending how many rushing touchdowns he had, could jump up. Mac Jones is nowhere to be found unless he had like 15 rushing touchdowns, but let's be honest, I don't think Mac Jones did. Wow. Najee Harris and Ahmad Green tie for the most rushing yards. So they are each going to get 3 points for that. Then Etienne is going to get 1 point for Clemson. Reggie Bush finished there. Lawrence Phillips a little further down the list. Okay, let's look at rushing touchdowns. Jamal Najee, Michael Dyer. Now, we are going to include receiving touchdowns in this, so we will see, but that looks like another 2 points there and 3 points for Alabama and SC. Okay, I want to look at QB rushing yards because that's going to be 3 points as well. This is where if Vince Young is in the top 5, he will add to his total, which could be massive. Vince Young, that is going to be 3 points for Vince, 2 points for Cam, 1 point for Justin Fields. So that is pretty big. Frazier just misses out on points there. Then receptions, that's 3 points for LSU for a player with the most receptions. Then 2 for Dwayne Jarrett, 1 for Mark Andrews, CeeDee Lamb, Hunter Renfrow, Jamar Chase. Wow, there we go. So 88 receptions for Marshall. That is huge. And another 3 points there for LSU. Devontae Smith is going to get 2 for Bama. Then 1 point for Hunter Renfrow there. Here we'll just kind of go down so you guys can see where everyone fits. Aaron Hernandez, that's a pretty good 1-2 punch right there. Aaron Hernandez and Percy Harvin. Benjamin Jamar kind of had a slower end to the sim here. After the first few years, he was so high. Jalen Waddle, okay, we're receiving touchdown. Terrace Marshall, another 3 points. That'll be 3 points for Florida there, and then 1 point for Percy there. So that is huge. Now we also got to look at receiving yards for running backs. So we will see, because that will be 3 points, 2 points, and 1 point as well. So Jamal Charles, 3 points for Texas there, then 2 points for Trey Sermon and OU, and 1 point for LSU, just narrowly beating out Clemson and Travis Etienne. So that is where, I kind of want to look at rushing touchdowns. Let's see if Vince Young had a ton. Vince Young had 11, which will put him, when you add it up with his passing touchdowns, will put him at 51. But I'm assuming Tim Tebow is going to have at least 1 rushing touchdown. We will see. And obviously, he's gonna. So if he does, then he will stay ahead. Yeah, he is 6. So Vince Young will not be getting any points there. But his 6 rushing touchdowns added to his 51 puts him above Baker and ties him with Burrow. But Burrow's still going to get 3 points for that, because I'm assuming he's going to have at least 1 or 2 rushing touchdowns as well. All right, so that was the final stats, guys. That is kind of a quick breakdown on where everyone's going to be getting points, but I'm going to add up all the points right now, and it's going to pop up on screen. You are going to see who the overall winner is. Drop a comment right now before I put it up. I think it's going to be LSU. Texas has a shot, and honestly, Alabama, I don't think did enough this final season, but they have an outside shot as well. I think those 3 for sure. Then let me know who you think the MVPs are. I'm going to look at their career stats, get idea on who each one of those, MVPs for each position will be. I'll probably give the top 3, I'll probably show who the top 3 are, and then you guys will see that as well. And once again, like I said, leave a comment down below if you guys have any suggestions for the next sim I'm doing, which will cover both offense and defense. Now for the MVP at QB, we had Vince Young, who had 3 incredible seasons, and in the second season of the sim, he had close to 6,000 total yards, and in the third season, he took home the Heisman, and this is going to be 5 more points for Texas. Then for running back MVP, we have Ahmad Green, and he was the engine behind the #1 rushing team throughout the sim, and he finished with back-to-back 2,000 total yard seasons, and that will be 5 more points for Nebraska. Then the wide receiver MVP was Devontae Smith, 1,102 yards in 3 seasons, more than 500 clear of the next closest receiver, and he was the clear MVP, and that is 5 more points for Bama. Then for the final standings, we have LSU. They are the winner. They take it home with 70 points, including 25 in the 3rd year. Then in second place, we have Texas with 61 points, and they got 22 points in the final season. Then in third third, we have Bama, who had 56 points, including 20 in the third season. Then in fourth, we have Auburn. Fifth, we have Nebraska. Sixth, we have USC. Then in the middle of the road, we had Ohio State and Oklahoma. And then Oregon, Clemson, and Florida State really were at the bottom of the sim throughout the whole time. Now, one team that was not a part of this sim, but is one of the best teams ever, is the 2001 Miami Hurricanes. And I recreated them and played through their whole season in this College Football Revamped to see if I can go undefeated and win the national championship just like Miami. You need to check out this video right here.